Welcome to the Sovereignty Health and Wellness Center channel. In 520 and 620, I talked about who I am and what my services can look like. I just want to re-emphasize how flexible I am in customizing your personal program. Reach out to me and let's talk about your goals. What have you done that's worked for you? Now let's talk about some principles for allowing our bodies to heal and our overall health to return towards our natural homeostasis. Here's a list of things we can help facilitate by observing a trilogy of core principles from the foundation to the top. There is no single pill, diet, or fitness routine that will universally improve our health. What helps one person can hinder another. These principles, however, tend to help us almost universally. They are meant to be contemplated and engaged in this order. First, we want to cleanse ourselves and stabilize our condition. Most all of the disease we encounter is a result of inflammation and toxicity. Even the few exceptions, such as being dealt some compromised genetic cards by life's dealer, can be the result of toxicity endured by our parents. We all need a place to start, and I feel like this is really it for all of us. Toxicity comes in many forms. It can come from our environment, such as the air we breathe, water we bathe in and drink, the food we eat, chemicals we use, and radiation, just to name a few. It can also come in the form of microorganisms we encounter externally, or those that we rely on for our very lives that live within us or on our skin. And then there are the forms of toxicity that may be more difficult to define and measure, such as toxic thoughts and beliefs, or unhealthy habits, addictions, behavioral patterns, and relationships. This first stage is for us all, regardless of our health status. The following stages are built on this foundation rather than moving beyond it. For example, we may not get the same results from adding the best nutrients, physical fitness, resting, and introspection if these things are added to our toxic internal and external environment. I can help you sort through and focus on this stage and blaze a clean and clear trail into stage 2 with everything from meal and fitness planning to relaxation techniques, clearing your environment, and setting a tone for your own introspection and self-dialogue. All right, the second stage. This is a stage that a lot of us seem to skip to. For example, have you or anyone you know decided to care for their health more and said something like, I'm going to include some more vegetables in my diet, or take some supplements, or push myself to take up jogging or some other fitness routine? Or maybe you're a brilliant scientist with a great memory for everything you've Googled that fits your self-diagnosis. We start to add things to our biochemical pool that do this or help our bodies do that. We start to move and stretch our bodies more, and if we stick to our personally designed programs, we often even see some results. And some of the wisest of us also include relaxation, quiet, stillness, and meditation. The first stage makes all of these inspired ideas of self-care last. The first stage can help the results and desired improvements in our health happen much faster. I can't stress enough how powerful the first stage is as a foundation for any life-perfecting program. It even improves our brain chemistry and chemical balances such that there are benefits to detoxification we still have yet to discover. Please do not skip this stage. I'm posing this to you as a universal suggestion, no matter who you are. So balance and fortification are the apex of the second stage. Balance is easier to achieve having detoxified our biochemical soup significantly. We want to balance our activity with rest. We want to find a balance between our macronutrients that works best for us personally. Some of us do feel better, for example, with a ketogenic diet than others do. Some of us thrive on the cleansing effects of a very high fiber, raw food diet, while others feel terrible for it. And some of us feel amazing with periodic intermittent or long-term fasting, while others feel much better with just the right constant flow of nutrients through their system. There are many things between which to strike balances. Imagine how many our bodies do underneath our consciousness. We have enzyme balances, hormone balances, neurotransmitter balances, cortisol levels, and balance between activation of our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, to name a few examples. These can be significantly influenced, for better or worse, by how clean we are and how fortified we are with what our bodies need. Stage 3. In this stage, we may feel like we've arrived. We've reached some goals like reducing inflammation or attaining our healthy BMI. But will your results last for life? Will you maintain the healthiest range of weight for you without a lot of fluctuations? Yo-yo dieting causes undue stress on us. And do you find that once you've reached certain health status goals that you want to build upon them further? Many people have successfully made temporary changes. Fewer maintain them. In stage 3, we look at life not so much like a series of sprints, but as a lifelong marathon. In a long run, we don't go all out the whole way or we burn out earlier in the race. Instead, if we pace ourselves, we may find that we have a nice long life and health span. Our twilight years do not have to be as miserable as they are for some of us who burn hot and fast through life. A graceful pace, for example, is not a cycle of dieting and binging. That's like sprinting and collapsing in the beginning of a long run, your life. And of course, it's not giving our body the most difficult things to process that create the most waste for us to get rid of. That's why stage 1, the foundation of this model, improves upon stage 3. So we can feel like we have arrived when we, for example, reach certain fitness goals. But mastering stage 3 is about maintaining this higher frequency and building upon it. What are we really capable of? With this body and mind we were born with, how healthy can we feel on a consistent basis? What do you think that life would feel or look like? Well, when you arrive at the healthy state you are longing for and maintain it, I hope you can help someone else feel that good too. The rewards may feel unfathomable now to some of you who have never undergone a major transformation from default to deliberate living. But when we feel it, it also feels good to share. How does healing work? Well, we make it as easy as possible to return to health. So first we want to clean and clear the way of debris, waste, and toxins. Then we want to give our system what it needs to make this return trip. And finally, we want to set a higher tone for our lives where we maintain a balance with a nice high level of energy and some deep and rejuvenating relaxation and sleep. Do you feel like you live and create your life by default or deliberately? If you maintain your health deliberately, what are some of the things that you are mindful of that help you wake up rested, not sore and slow, and allow you to move through your day with an abundance of energy, enthusiasm, and empathy? Have you moved from a default life through a transformation to a more mindful and deliberate life? Was there a memorable aha moment where you checked yourself and made changes in your thinking, choices, and actions regarding your health? Are you like so many people who want to get a handle on some of the habits and patterns of thinking, feeling, and behavior that did not result in the happy, healthy state you may be longing for? Please reach out to me. And follow and share the Sovereignty channel here, and bookmark the website too. Thank you for joining me, and check back, there's more to come. Cheers. Welcome to the Sovereignty Health and Wellness Center channel. This is episode 1 and I'm Chad Gold. I'm a master NLP health and life coach. I'm a bachelor in health education and promotion. And I've been coaching for 7 years. And I just opened my center here in Boise, Idaho. I really like coming up with recipes for different needs, so I'll be sharing some of those. Among the different goals I've helped my clients achieve, the most common has been weight loss, so I will comment first on the physical and then the emotional perspectives concerning attaining and maintaining healthy weight. Physically, there's a measurement called BMI, or body mass index, that I'm sure most of you have heard of before. It's a general guide for finding your range of weight based on your height. If you convert your weight to kilograms, then divide that number by your height in square meters, you get your BMI, and yet you really don't have to do all this math. Google BMI and you'll find one just like this that's pretty easy to use. And I think, give or take a few pounds, I'm thinking it's close enough for us all to tell about where we should be, and if we want to make some lifestyle changes to significantly decrease the odds of disease. I think an important takeaway from this is somewhere in the overweight to obese category, some of us reach a point where we have about 80% increased chance of becoming insulin resistant, and odds of hypertension and heart disease increase too. So what about our mental and emotional connection to healthy weight? It makes sense that a lot of popular weight loss programs focus on things that are easier to measure. We can take inventories of our carbs, proteins, and fats, and calories, and we can control our intake. And we can then counter with how much energy we burn with activity. And I see some programs that also advise a balance with hydration, resting, and getting enough sleep. But what about the quality and depth of sleep? And how about our relationship with food and ourselves? Less conscious reasons to delay self-care until a future date that just seems to never come, or our beliefs, self-worth, and self-image. In Western countries, we have models, actors, and a standard of beauty that's influenced by the media. Have you noticed a little more of the celebration of the diversity of beauty recently? Still, some of us can feel a lot of pressure to either fit into a standard of beauty or not feel beautiful. This can grossly distort our expectations of what physical beauty is while distracting us from seeing beauty in depth. Is your motivation to maintain a healthy weight primarily to improve your self-image? Is your sense of self-confidence, efficacy, and attractiveness bound up with your weight? I want you to consider this. We can expand our appreciation for beauty far beyond the narrow focus of our popular culture or even others around us. When we do, it can be like reuniting with ourselves. Isn't there so much more to beauty, like the charisma that comes with love, empathy and compassion, confidence, humor, clarity of focus, motivation and inspiration? Or how about bright eyes, clear skin, energy balanced with calmness and patience, and infectious laughter, and a deep magnetism that draws others to you? Let your reasons for losing weight go far beyond skin deep. I've posed a few questions in this first episode, and I'd really like to engage you in this subject. If attaining and maintaining healthy weight is important to you, tell me why. And if you're successful in consistently maintaining healthy weight, what is your personal testimony? And what works best for you? If you haven't yet perfected the effort, please contact me. I'm offering free consultations, customizable programs, and a sincere desire to share what I have learned about weight loss with 7 years of successful health and life coaching. I will also resume workshops in the future, though they're on the shelf right now, but watch for some here. You know, I also struggled with this myself, and my life has improved in all areas. I'll talk about that in another episode, but until then, talk to me. I'm just getting started on this show, so please click the button over here and follow the Sovereignty Health and Wellness Center channel. Cheers. Welcome to the second episode of the Sovereignty Health and Wellness Center channel. And please click that follow button right there and continue to enjoy. Thank you. In episode 120, I briefly introduced myself and talked about the importance of keeping our weight within a healthy range. I also spoke about beauty being much more than that, and that maintaining a healthy BMI for life isn't only about controlling our eating and drinking and exercise. But we focus on that a lot, and those things can be easier to monitor and measure. I want to add that there's a lot of changing and contradictory information available to us about what the best diet may be, and it can be overwhelming. But don't give up. There is no miracle diet that works for everyone. Let's let that go. Perhaps a lot of the confusion started in the 80s with the low-fat myth that seemed to hang on for almost a whole generation. It seemed like it took an extreme increase in hypertension, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes for enough of us to realize that sugar, which was in a lot of the low-fat and processed foods, had more influence on weight gain and insulin resistance than fats. But there are still other influences too. You know, we have our adipose tissue to thank for protecting us from many toxins that we take into our bodies. They buffer our organs and other tissues from these slow poisons by storing them away. We can really love and appreciate our bodies for this, and the amazing things our internal pharmacies do to maintain all of the delicate balances we endure, even as we do, think, say, and consume things that cause imbalances. So before we let all of the information and misinformation available to us frustrate us, I have some suggestions that I feel belong at the top of our list of strategies for transformation. There is a deeper foundation to secure within ourselves in our efforts to achieve and maintain a healthy BMI. It's deeper and more sustainable than just moving more and eating right. Self-love, acceptance, and appreciation of who we are right now, physically and non-physically. And self-care often seem to take a back seat in a lot of weight loss programs and interventions or methods that emphasize specific diets and fitness routines. I suggest you really take this to heart. A deep-rooted foundation guarantees success. I don't think powerful ideas like mindful nutrition get as much attention because they aren't as measurable as calorie counting, reading scales, reps in the gym, or strides per day. But ask anyone who has maintained their health long term. Seek out people who have deliberately transformed from an unhealthy state to a healthy one. Do you know anyone who has done it and maintained it for 6 months or more? You won't find anyone like this who has not found self-care, self-motivation, and deep, loving inner work more important than exactly what they eat or how they move. After taking my first 2 episodes in here, I think you can get a general impression of what this show is going to be about. Please click that button and follow me because I'm going to go deeper into some of what I've already touched on. I'm also really into food. In fact, I'm so into it that in my past I've crossed the line with it. And I have a personal testimony of how I had to get a handle on food addiction. I had a moment when I had to check myself and decided to pour a lot of attention into finding ways to satiate my love for delicious and pleasurable food in healthy ways. So I will also be sharing some of those ideas in the future. I'm also really interested in engaging with you. I will bring things up that can definitely be unpacked more, and sometimes I will directly pose open-ended questions to you, so if you have any thoughts about what you hear, please email me at sovereigntycenter1@gmail.com, and come in for a free consultation too. I have a nice cozy office centrally located in Boise, Idaho, though it's temporarily closed. And I'm also available for health and life coaching via video conferencing. Click follow, share, and enjoy. Oh, no, it's in A, isn't it?
There's a good one.
Welcome to the Sovereignty Health and Wellness Center channel. In 320, I started talking about how calorie reduction, or eating just a little bit less, can help with weight management. So a little calorie reduction, especially when you're on the high end of what's optimal for you, can help. But more extreme restriction can cross a threshold where a conservative survival mechanism kicks in. Then our metabolism slows down and we feel heavier. This makes it harder to keep up with our exercise routine and resist cravings. But right now, let's talk about the popular low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diet. If you haven't tried it, I'm sure you've heard of it. Ultimately, with this diet, we make a dramatic shift from using glucose to fuel our brains and muscles and other biological processes to running on ketones, which is a replacement fuel we can derive from our fat when we restrict sugar consumption. We can successfully lose a lot of extra weight this way. The big challenge for many of us is just how different it is from how most of us are used to eating. This can make it hard sometimes to keep up in social eating with all the temptation, but we can manage that, right? It's harder for some of us than others, but it's popular and a lot of people are making it work for them. I've noticed that one of the bigger challenges with this is staying consistent with taking in a low enough proportion of carbs to stay in ketogenesis. That is the alternative mode where we are burning fat instead of the absent glucose. A slight restriction of sugar or just trying some keto recipes isn't enough to achieve ketogenesis. So you have to be all in to gain the potential benefits. The hard part for some of us seems to be going in and out of keto, especially for the brain, which is used to running on a lot of sugar. Our brain is about 2% of our total weight, but uses about 20% of our glucose. When there isn't enough glucose available for it to run exclusively on glucose, the body begins to convert fat into ketones, which the body can use in place of glucose. That all sounds like a great system for survival, but it doesn't change over with the immediate click of a switch. Though some people report not having much of an issue with this, others feel very strange as the brain switches its fuel source, so they may feel foggy, forgetful, or unclear. Others have described even worse, like anxiety, depression, insomnia, and uncontrollable cravings leading to bingings, and that can all lead to disappointment in ourselves. Don't get me wrong, though, people make it work for them sustainably. But the other thing to keep in mind is just how different we are. If keto seems too difficult and uncomfortable to you, don't tell yourself you're a failure or think this is the only way to achieve your goals because it works for someone else. Reach out to me and follow this show because we can find methods that work for you. If you are going to explore keto, it is important to be consistent over an extended duration. I've known several people who see the merits of keto, but allow themselves too many cheats and exceptions. Transitioning between fuel sources is harder on some of us than others. Some people will also hover just outside of ketosis, making their efforts feel like more of a struggle than they need to be. Things like discipline and the ability to delay gratification and force ourselves to do things against great resistance are a lot harder for some of us
And if you're not one of them, I have mad respect for you, your discipline. Most things can also get easier over time, but I also have mad respect for anyone who is struggling to take care of themselves and improve their health. I can help you find something that works for you, whether it's keto or something else. It's just not the only way.
And please share with anyone you care about who could use help perfecting the art of living. Cheers. So, who am I? A good way to describe my role is a health and life coach. My work is helping people to become their own health and life coach, not just while we work together, but for the rest of their life. I have a health science degree in health education. My focus in this subject comes from a lifelong interest and a personal testimony in taking my sovereignty back from my food addiction. I studied and tried everything to stop the momentum of mounting anxiety, depression, and compulsive emotional eating until I found what works for me, and I lost almost 50 pounds. Weight loss was just the beginning of my testimony. After making changes in my internal and external dialogue, as well as my fitness, nutritional, meditative, and relaxation routines and behaviors, I no longer needed my prescription eyeglasses I had worn constantly for 20 years. I remember one day looking at a bottle of some kind of supplement or medication when the fine print was blurry and then trying to read it without my glasses. The text was acutely clear with my naked eye, so I stopped wearing them years ago. My complexion cleared up too. Also, I used to get ear infections frequently, but no more. That's not all either. My bouts with anxiety, depression, and insomnia faded away almost entirely. And if I experienced them, I knew why, because they would only happen if I substituted self love and care for an excess of immediate gratifications and things that made me feel good in the moment, but at a more long term expense to my health. I've been coaching now for 7 years and am familiar with how different we are. I have my testimony, and everyone has their story based on the cards they are dealt by life's dealer and their reactions to them and how they choose to play them. So you won't hear me saying that something that has worked for me works for everyone. This may sound like common sense, but if you search the internet for health and life advice, you will find that many things work for someone. I love the challenge of finding out what works best for you sustainably. What is a life coach? So the MNLP next to my name stands for Master of Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Let's unpack that. First of all, I do not practice hypnotism. It does work for a lot of people, though some are not receptive to it. I, for example, cannot be hypnotized like many others. I do know how to do it, and I'm not against it just because I don't practice it myself. The reason I bring this up is because it is very common among NLP practitioners. Second, you won't ever see a book written by me titled something like How to Manipulate and Control People. Why would I bring that up? If you Google authors who are NLP practitioners or search the subject, for example, on Audible or Amazon, there are a slew of literary works with similar titles. I do not want to manipulate, control, program, or hypnotize anyone. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm not even saying that NLP practitioners are not making this work for them in the spirit of empathy and service to others as well as themselves. I just have a different semantic with regard to NLP that, like I say, I feel the need to unpack personally so that you can understand me better, especially if you are entertaining the idea of entering into a professional relationship with me or referring me to someone that you care about who could use some help. My degree in health education and mastery of NLP is crystallized around my principles, which are rooted in personal internal sovereignty. I don't want to manipulate or hypnotize you. I want to help you to take back your deliberate self-control or sovereignty that you may have been giving away to things like eating when your body is not hungry, compulsively or emotionally, for example. NLP is about internal and external dialogue. It's about taking our power back from bad habits or addictions that have become deeply buried under our consciousness. I don't need to manipulate or hypnotize anyone in my programs and coaching sessions. I help you to act, think, and create your life and yourself deliberately and consciously. Our minds can sort of resemble time machines. All up in our heads, so to speak, we can travel into the past with our memories where we find anything from nostalgia to trauma and regrets. Or we can travel into the future and feel things like anticipation and anxiety. But the cutting edge of all creation is right now, fully present. This is why meditation is a central pillar in my personal self-care regime. We can all be one of two types of creators. We are either mind-bound creators by default, meaning that we are very reactionary, heavily influenced by outside perceptions and others' views, often unconsciously, or we are deliberate creators, fully present, conscious, and mindful of our creative endeavors. There's a lot more that I want to say about the ideas in this episode. In 620, I'm going to talk about my sessions, services, and programs, both remotely and in person. Ultimately, it's important to me that you understand that I'm not just promoting another one-size-fits-all diet or weight loss program. I'm not just running sprints with my clients towards goals like losing a certain measurable number of pounds. I coach you to coach yourself for the rest of your life. That often means that you come away not only with your own sovereignty and self-mastery, but with the ability to coach people in your life that you love and care about to do the same. Thank you for taking in this video. Please follow my channel and share with others. Also, please reach out to me with anything that you've heard here or anything that this show brings to mind. Have an amazing night. Cheers. Welcome to the Sovereignty Health and Wellness Center channel. If you haven't seen 520 just before this one, I talked about what it means to me to be a health educator and life coach. Now I want to talk about my sessions and programs. So in this year, 2020, this is a general idea of what my services are like. I'm just going to provide some examples here, but I want you to keep in mind that we can design a program of any length of time, frequency of sessions, and focus our time together on your personal goals. While many are staying home, I reduced my rate for remote sessions to just 20 until we all get on the same page as to whether we are going to feel safe mingling again. I was just gearing up to begin a 3-part workshop series at the Sovereignty Center here in Boise, Idaho when this all happened. Until we're all collectively more comfortable grouping up in my conference room, ask me about this discount. I plan to offer it for a little while after things open up, too. Normally my rate for individual sessions, which can be approximately 40 to 60 minutes, are $65. For customized programs, I charge $120 per week, which will typically include a weekly in-person session, as well as regular remote communication. Now I have a 6-month transformational program I call the Gold Program for $2,500. If you contact me at sovereigntycenter1@gmail.com anytime in 2020 and mention this video, number 620, I'm offering an individual gold program for $2,000 or 2 clients for the price of 1. I've had a lot of fun with these dynamic duos. If you want to sign up with a partner, it's a blast. We can all hold each other accountable, encourage each other, and make great things happen. Like I said, my coaching programs are personalized, so they can vary, but I want to describe how I generally structure the Gold program. Why do I believe this is a better weight loss program? No dieting. They tend to lead to binging. Highly personalized. We seek knowledge and enjoyment in food. Goal refinement and clarification. Learning self-coaching methods. Balancing activity with rest and relaxation, reflection and meditation. It's drug-free and all natural. I have 7 years of experience, health and life coaching, much more than just a nutrition and fitness coaching program. So week 1 of every month, it is really important for us to be able to pace ourselves gracefully. We will be pushing ourselves in the following weeks, and we'll become acutely aware of when we need time to rest and recuperate both mentally and physically. Our sleep can improve, and we will make sure to avoid burning out and losing momentum with what we practice in the first week of every month. So week 1 is a time to relax our grip on the athletic improvements. It's a time for detoxification, cleansing, introspection, and reflection. Now the first 3 months, month 1 through 3, for the first 3 months we will have our weekly in-person sessions. These can either be at the center, home workouts, going shopping, going to the gym, hiking, biking, etc. We will explore what works best for you. And we will keep close in touch remotely as well. This time is also preparation for the next 3 months. I will provide plenty of structure for you with things like meal planning, workouts, and relaxation techniques, and self-dialogue in the first part of the program. Months 4 through 6. At this point, you will graduate to a health and life coach in training. We will maintain a steady momentum towards and beyond your own personal goals. Now you'll be designing your own program inspired by what we've learned. At this point, I still meet with you in person monthly and correspond with you remotely as your personal consultant. So this gives you a feel for how I structure the Gold program. It is certainly highly subjective to personal needs and goals. Thank you for joining me. I still have a lot I want to say this year, so please click that follow button and share too. Cheers. As soon as it's possible, I have a series of 3 workshops coming up soon. The first in the trilogy is Mindful Nutrition, 10 concentrations for taking our sovereignty back from compulsive emotional eating that can also be applied to how we live mindfully. The second one will be Restful Sleep, how to improve the quality and depth of our sleep and reduce stress with relaxation techniques and meditation. And then the third one is Pace and Grace, striking a lifelong sustainable balance between increasing our energy level and getting the R&R we need to keep it up.
you.